Alright. Let's go. Alright, now you... Why? Oh, no. Alright, you might be wondering, what are we doing? Now, this video is, in its entirety, a story time video. I'm going to be climbing mountains, just like over that way, and climbing over there, like climbing that sort of shit. And then you are going to be listening to me, / watching me climb said mountain. Now, I'm going to preface this. If you like this video, give it a like. If you don't, well, cool. Let it simmer in your brain, I guess. Now, let's get to climbing. Alright. Alright, all that mumbo jumbo over. What we're going to be talking about in this video is a fun little experience I had post buying a boat. Now, if you don't know, I own a boat and I have a lot of fun driving said boat around. I haven't done it for a bit, but you know, whatever. Now, back when I initially bought the boat, I had a total amount of 0 experience using boats, driving boats, any of that. So I was essentially the newbie of newbies going into this. Now, I was hella excited because, you know, it's driving a boat. Of course that's going to be exciting. But I learned the very basics, you know, like something you kind of do need to know is bungs, what a bung is. So if you don't want water, you know, get into your boat, you use this little thing that you screw into the back. If it's a tinny like mine, it's a little screw thing. And you screw it in, and it stops water from getting into your boat. Now, the reason it's there in the first place is to empty water out in case it got in during boating. So it's not just a hole in the boat for no reason. It's there for a reason. Now, keep that in mind. That is an important little bit of subtle foreshadowing. Anywho, I had been out with mates a couple of times on said boat. Had a lot of fun doing so. Been out a couple of times, you know, like pretty locally. Didn't go out super far because I'd never been on a boat before, let alone the one driving the boat. Let alone, you know, I have like at times 2 other people, you know, at my mercy. I wanted to be, you know, smart. So the first couple of times was smooth as ever. Went out, did some fishing, you know, caught some fish, didn't catch some fish, whatever. We just ripped it around a lot. It was a lot of fun. I went out with a friend at the time who grew up doing, like, going out on boats and stuff. So he was a lot more experienced, one could say. And, you know, I was keen to get him on my boat. I was trying to be a bit of a show-off. And, you know, so we weren't going, you know, heaps far offshore, like I said. We were staying, you know, local to the boat ramp, which is where you launch boats that are small. You know, so we're pretty close to the boat ramp. We're just chilling, sitting there. You know, we're going from spot to spot. If you haven't been fishing before, you kind of do need to be going from spot to spot. You can't just stay in the one spot. If there's not fish there, you keep moving, because there's no point in staying in a spot if there's no fish. So we're moving spot to spot. Every now and then the engine's giving me a little bit of issues, but like nothing enough to where I'm getting concerned. And then we went to a spot that was right next to the boat ramp. So, you know, we were very close. Probably, I would say, around 600 meters. Not that far. And so we're fishing, catching nothing again. So we're just like, oh, well, we'll move to the next spot. Go to start the engine. And nothing happens. So I'm a bit confused, but I'm like, oh, whatever. I'll let it sit maybe, you know, prime the fuel a bit, you know, do all these bits and bobs. And it still doesn't start. And I start to worry. I'm like, this has never happened. I'm a bit concerned. So, you know, we're sitting there for a little bit. Wouldn't start. I tried manually starting it. All of this. Nothing. Absolutely nothing worked. So I was stressing, because obviously this sort of thing had never happened to me. And eventually, you know, doing some Googling and stuff, I discover for the first time what is known as two-stroke. Now, to people who know what two-stroke is, this will seem quite elementary because old and small boat motors typically are two-stroke. Same as lawnmowers, same as a lot of sort of like small engine. I had no clue that it was a two-stroke motor. And I didn't even know what a two-stroke motor was. And my friend asked me this, and I went, I don't know what that is. And he went, probably important to know. So we're looking it up. I found a couple of sources saying it could be either 4-stroke or 2-stroke. Now, I should preface this with telling you what 4-stroke and 2-stroke is. 4-stroke is an engine that you give oil separately, and it will fill up, you know, it'll slowly oil your engine, lubricant, whatever oil does. Now, 2-stroke, you put the oil in the fuel, and it's in a fuel mix. I did not mean to eat a dangerous mushroom. Okay. So it's a mix, and I didn't know this, so the fuel I had put in was just fuel. Now, you can understand a motor that doesn't have oil, not a happy motor. Hence why it wouldn't start. Am I about to die? I thought I could eat those mushrooms. I think I am about to die. Oh, I'm not. Okay. Yeah, so, you know, a bit concerning that I found out that day that it, you know, what 2-stroke was and everything. Is this something I should have known previous to going onto open water? 100%. Did I? No. So I learnt very quickly from my mistake. So essentially now we are stuck there. We do not have a way back to shore. In my country, it is mandatory to have a paddle. You cannot go, well, like legally, as far as that is, you are meant to have a paddle on board your boat. I did, thank God. But, funnily enough, because I'm a cheapskate, I bought the cheapest one that I could find, just to get the legal requirement. This, I would come to sorely regret. Because as I am paddling, like I said earlier, we were close to the boat ramp, it wasn't that far, but I'm using a very bad paddle, which, believe it or not fun. So I'm slowly trying to use this really bad paddle. It's like one of the telescopic ones. Like it's essentially made to be as small as possible. It is literally just made to meet the requirements. But I, you know, for some reason just didn't think. I didn't think at all about it. And now I have learned from that mistake. So we were stuck. I was trying to use the paddle. The paddle began to not really work. And I was like, huh, that's unique. Oh well, we'll figure it out. And that's what we like started to do. You know, I was getting there. Like, it was taking a while because there was a little bit of drift, so I was fighting that. Arms were getting a bit sore because I'm weak as piss, but you know, I was getting it. And another 10 meters probably paddled, and the paddle began to break. It was starting to get really loose, and I could feel that the paddle was going to give way very soon. I was a little bit stressing at this point. I was already stressed previous because I still have a friend with me that I was responsible for, like I said, and I got extremely stressed. But much to my thankfulness, every single time a boat was launching from the boat ramp, we were trying to wave them down. A couple had just straight ignored us, and at this point I was slowly getting to a point where I didn't think that anyone was going to stop for us, so that's why we were kind of, you know, getting to the sad bit. Oh, also a fun little bit I forgot to mention. We did call the, like, I guess like American version would be like Coast Guard, to, you know, get some help. They didn't pick up. We called a couple times. Every single time we got no answer. So, you know, do with that what you will. So eventually, finally, we got saved. Someone launched off the boat ramp. I had a whistle on board, so I was whistling, waving my arms, doing the whole thing. And eventually, you know, this bloke decided I'm going to be the best person in the world, and I'll save these two idiots. And save us they did. We finally, you know, they essentially just towed us, like you tow a car, back into the boat ramp. I then went to a boat shop nearby, found out what was wrong, tried to give my motor some of that fuel, but it still wouldn't start. And, you know, at this point, I was super stressed. I just drove home with the boat. We did down the line fix it. I had to buy a new motor. It was, you know, a whole thing. But essentially, if you're gonna take a little lesson from this, you're gonna do something like doing boating. Learn about everything beforehand. Don't just do it like I did, because it's a bad idea. Funnily enough, I did actually forget to record an outro for this video, so thank you for enjoying the video if you're still here. If you're around in the next one, awesome. Anyways, sayonara.